Okay, so here we go, session 12, how to stop reforming, or who has the authority to say enough is enough. This is the great problem with Reformation, which is why I was going to symbolise the Reformation with a ball of string, because it just keeps unravelling, and where does it stop? The Reformation that Luther started begins to be unravelled, and we're going to look at some of those people in the next bit. But we're continuing to see it unravelling. Alec Ryrie, in his book on Protestantism, suddenly can't remember the title, very good Audible, and very good section on Protestantism during the Second World War. What he does is he unravels Protestantism as he sees it unraveling in history. He takes it all the way across to America through Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons, as well as off to Africa and seeing in the charismatic movement. So this Reformation thing that Luther starts, where does it stop? One of the questions, of course, that's hidden behind this, where does it stop, is who's got the authority to say enough is enough? And that becomes very difficult. Luther's enough is enough is nicely stopped because he has sufficient theology based on the idea of the importance of the princes and the role of the state. And so he's very much okay with that. But we see, as we see what comes in, next, that there's no real ending to where this Reformation thing might go. Melanchthon, I think is pronounced Melanchthon, but I won't argue too much over that. So that was on page 1 of this sections of 12 to 15. Moving into Zwingli, I was going to call him a silly sausage so as to help you remember the sausage incident, which seems to kick off the Swiss Reformation. He's always made this defence saying, no, I wasn't at all influenced by Luther, I was entirely doing it in my own bat. Good for him if that was actually what was going on. Either that or he was really, he saw what Luther was doing and got excited about it, but he seems rather reluctant to admit to that. Zwingli, moving on to Calvin. Now, I've called Calvin the Tulip. You see what my daughter made? She loves the origami. Calvin the Tulip, because of his little mnemonic that you'll find on page 4. And when you read through it, you look at it and you go, well, that's not too bad. As sort of simple Anglican Protestant type Christians, we're sort of okay with much of this. But we could unpack one or two bits a bit more if you like, if you want to pick on one of those. But you've got with it, and Tulip doesn't really come from Calvin, it comes from Beza, the guy who takes over afterwards. Now you've got Beza and Jacob Arminius. Arminius, of course, where we get Arminian and Arminianism and all that kind of stuff. And the thing with Arminius is this idea of choice. With Calvin's understanding of Protestantism, you know, where do we stop in terms of the sovereignty of God? And as we give, as we see the Almighty God and all His powers, where does my free will fit into any of that? Which is where Arminius came in, which is why I sort of symbolise this with the choice dice. Actually, I think this is a rubbish symbol because you're rolling the dice, which is a symbol of let the fates be in the hands of the gods, as I see whether or not I should go to the gym or I should eat. And so I'm not really sure this is a very good symbol. Meanwhile, this sense of Arminianism continues. I'm just seeing some guy in my church earlier. He's talking to me about how he can help his goddaughter to get married. He's got an idea about somebody that he would like her to meet. And she is very keen that she does not want Godfather involved at all in any of this. So he says, look, she's being very Calvinistic in this, her understanding that God will call to her some man that he has chosen and not her godfather, whereas the godfather is very keen to be quite Arminian in this approach, and so he is keen to get involved and help her choose the right man, and he's keen to push said men in her pathway. So there you are, Calvinism, Arminianism, in terms of how much we